right, guys, 9:06 here. I do see people still coming in, but we are going to go ahead and get rocking here, if that's okay with you. So just before we do, I again do want to do a mic check, make sure the sound is coming through clean for you. So just go ahead, type a Y in the chat. If you're just coming onto the call, please go ahead and type your name and where you're located in the country. All right, awesome. So tonight, I want to share, and those of you who are on the kind of Q&A webinar we did last week, the Q&A webinar that we did last week, I shared two quotes with you. So I want to go ahead and start off this call with those quotes because they're pretty powerful. So in correlation with eliminating distractions, a mentor of mine, that's the next slide. So this guy here, Joe Polish, that you see on the screen, he has a quote that I have up in my office here, and it resonates a lot with me. And we find ourselves in this information age, and it's basically this: those who will succeed greatly in this information age that we find ourselves in are those who bring simplicity to the complex. So there's so many things that are going on. There's so many things that are going after our attention, guys. And the ability to bring things and make them simple is a big thing that drives me as a mentor and somebody that helps people learn how to do this real estate thing. So that's kind of what I've built my business around, is how can I make things simple? How can I break it down and really help people? And what this does is it helps reduce people's pain point. So this guy, Joe Polish, is one of the most connected marketers on the planet. Actually, he's known for being one of the most connected, done hundreds of millions of dollars. And that quote always stuck with me. It's like, okay, if I can help simplify things for people and help them reduce a pain point, so how that applies to real estate, education is like, there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's like, what works, what doesn't, what direction do I go in? So obviously there's some value in that if I can do that, right? So you, as the real estate investor, how can you apply this quote? Well, one way that you can apply it is in your marketing, right? When you're speaking with a seller, you're speaking with a buyer, you're simplifying things for them. You're offering them value. You're offering them a solution to their, a lot of times complicated problem. Maybe it's a buyer who is, they're spending all of their time rehabbing houses or being a landlord or, being a parent or whatever they're doing. And if you can bring a deal on a silver platter to them, then that's obviously a lot of value, and you're reducing a pain point for them. So I want you to write down that quote. It's very, very powerful. Another quote here for you is this. It's distractions and interruptions are two of our chief competitors in reaching success, that you must learn how to effectively minimize these two forces in order to win. And this is a mentor of mine who makes $20 million a year from his house, runs a huge information business. And so when he says things like that, it definitely catches my attention. And I think we can all agree that distractions and interruptions are very powerful things. And we're getting pinged on our phone right and left. So many things going on. It's so important in today's day and age to learn how to focus. So right before we dive in today, guys, for those of you who missed it last week, I wanted to share those two powerful quotes. Go ahead, make sure you write those down, and let's go ahead and dive in. So tonight I have a guest on the line, like you saw in the email invite. Shane is from North Carolina. He has gone from basically doing 0 deals to having a $22,500 month and counting. And we're basically going to do a spotlight, the good, the bad, the ugly, ask Shane a few questions, kind of see what's really going on, what it took for him to succeed, and then I want to get your guys' questions as well. So throughout this webinar, I want you to realize what's possible. So there's a lot of myths right now in kind of like the wholesaling world, right? And here are a few of them, right? That the market is simply too hot right now. The market's too hot. Generating leads that actually want to sell for a discount is impossible. Like, oh my gosh, somebody could stick a sign in their front yard and sell a house in a couple days. Why would they ever, want to sell for 50 cents on the dollar, right, or 60 cents on the dollar? Are these things that you guys are wondering? I want to make sure that I'm kind of talking to the right audience here. So if these are questions or myths that are kind of hitting a point for you, I definitely want to know. So another myth is that it's rare to do over a $5,000 deal. Another myth is that you got to do a ton of deals each month to succeed, and the only way to succeed is you have to do cheap houses in the ghetto and do a ton of them every single month just to barely scrape by. And of course, another one is competition. All right, so we're definitely getting some yeses in the chat, guys. So obviously, and again, this is I'm one of these informal types, so you're seeing the slides over here, so that's okay. We're just going to roll with it. But these myths are not true, and I think you're going to see that as we kind of dive into this webinar here. Now, why are these myths out there? Me personally, I think a lot of people kind of assume these things, because I know I used to think these things out of fear, or to no fault of their own. They run to a forum, and they're kind of asking their question on a forum or something like that, where a ton of other brand new people hang out, and they're all just kind of sharing what they think is the right answer. And of course, in those there's some very knowledgeable people, but these myths are not true, and so I want to kind of share that with you. Now, I do have a couple confessions, because I want to keep this real more than anything. The vast majority of people who watch any type of these trainings, or buy any courses, or go to seminars, or do any real estate or any business, or make money, or whatever it is, network marketing, there's all sorts of things out there, never really get any results. And I'm not ashamed to say that. It's just the same reason that the average person buys a Bowflex or a treadmill, and it winds up in their garage a couple months later hanging clothes on it, and they don't look like Zac Efron or something like that. So I think that's important. But as you'll see tonight, a very real life example of when you really apply this stuff, it's amazing what can happen. Another confession, that it does drive me nuts when a lot of people say, oh, you can make money with no money, no credit, no skills. It just kind of irks me a little bit, and that it works in every single market. It makes it sound a little gimmicky, and sometimes gives it a little bit of a bad name, so that kind of annoys me a little bit. So the truth is that it doesn't work in every single type of market with every single type of house, but I don't want to scare you. So what I mean by that is, it might be a little difficult to wholesale houses out in the middle of Montana where there's no neighborhoods, right? And yes, you can wholesale other type of houses, but the big thing you want to focus on is single family houses that are in the middle of a neighborhood, and you want to focus on bigger kind of cities and their suburbs and stuff like that. So if you live in a really rural location, you want to think about doing this a little bit virtually, okay? So, and you don't, you need absolutely no skills, right? But the cool part is you just need a couple of skills that you can learn relatively quickly. But the big thing that you need is a willing heart, right? And just enough is enough. You're ready to make some things happen. You don't need experience. You don't need to be all salesy. You don't need to be somebody that you're not. And you do just need a little bit of money. I'm not one of those people out there that are like, oh my gosh, you can make money with no money. You can, but it takes a little bit more effort. But what I'm going to show you is really kind of teach you how to do this as lean as possible, so you can do it with a very, very small budget. And as you can see, one of my quotes there: do what you can from where you are, with what you've got. So I want to go ahead and wrap this up, the little intro section here for you guys, and then I want to bring on Shane, because I know that's why he came out tonight. You want to hear how in the heck was he able to get these deals done, and how you can start to do that for yourself and in your business. So here is my mercifully brief introduction. As you know, my name is Stephen Howell, and very grateful for each one of you that came out tonight. I know you're taking precious time away from your family, friends, or whatever responsibilities you have going on this evening. So, you know, I realize that time is our biggest asset. So I'm known, for those of you who don't know me, I know I see a lot of my customers and students and subscribers of names that I recognize, but just in case you're new here, I am known as one of the most effective people in the real estate industry to kind of take people by the hand one-on-one and teach them how to wholesale houses and to get deeply discounted real estate. I am the creator of one of the #1 YouTube videos on wholesaling real estate, and that's probably how a lot of you found out about me. I've produced hundreds of hours of content and training, and have mentored hundreds of students nationally one-on-one, and really for the past 7 or 8 years have been on a mission to become just a warrior in real estate and in marketing and really in life, and you know, business and professionally. But I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on courses and mentors and trainings, and just in the trenches applying and trying to perfect this stuff. And then recently, over the last, I'd say 4, 5, 6 months, was contacted by Real Estate Mogul, which is a kind of a networking platform for real estate investors, big community. And I am a faculty member there, where I do some guest posting sometimes and videos and stuff for them. So the cool part for you guys, going to do my very best to help you guys cut the learning curve and just radically, you know, cut that curve and get you guys on the right path. So without further ado, let me go ahead. I'm going to turn my mic on so you guys can see that I'm live here in the office. And Shane, brother, are you with me?
Yes, sir. I am here.
All right, everybody. Can we give a warm welcome to Shane? Let's go ahead and get a ton of whys, or what's up, Shane, or whatever the heck you want to say. Let's make Shane feel welcome. He's taking time out of his night to be here with us, to share some wisdom with you guys. So I definitely want to crank it up for Shane. If I was a little more technically savvy, I'd have some cool intros and music, but that's not the case, so we're just going to roll with it. And you know, see people popping here in the chat. So yeah, Shane, go ahead, turn on your camera, man. That's awesome. And then I'm going to queue up some slides. All right, so we got Andrew, Kyle, Max, Unique. What's up, Unique? Carmen, James, Mohammed, Lisa, Pope. Everybody saying what's up, Shane. So getting a lot of love there, Shane. Let's go ahead and get this amazing picture of my friend Shane here on the screen, so you can see his beautiful face. And Shane, do you want to go ahead, man, and share your camera there? Is it working okay?
I've just put it on, the lights on, but the picture's just not working.
Okay. Try clicking that the little button there on the right side, where, like, right below the mic button. Try clicking that off and on again, and then let's see if it let's see if it works there. All right, guys, just bear with us.
Worked, yeah.
Yeah, it just worked. We tested this out just a second ago. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead. Shane, why don't you try, like, jumping out of the webinar real quick, and then maybe jumping back in, and let's see if or let me try first. Let me try shutting off my camera first.
I'll go.
Can you guys see Shane at all, or is it a black screen there? Black screen. Okay.
All right.
It's all good.
Try going back in or leave and come back in.
Yeah, why don't we try that? Try to go ahead and exit the webinar and then come back on, and hopefully that'll do the trick. And then if not, you might have to restart your computer and whatnot. But it's all good.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, guys, just bear with us just a moment here. We'll get this rocking.
Hello.
Awesome, awesome. There it is.
All right, awesome.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, let me get the slide back up on the screen here.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, my internet. I'm in the corner of the house.
Beautiful. So, Shane, go ahead and just maybe say a couple things, and I want to make sure everybody that you can hear Shane. Okay.
All right, cool. Everyone can hear me?
Mic check, mic check.
Hello.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this is Shane, my friend here from North Carolina, and so let's dive in, Shane. Why don't we start by just telling people a little bit about yourself. When you kind of started getting interested in real estate, or maybe for you, if it was being interested in being an entrepreneur. I have your slides on the screen here that kind of has some of those bullet points. So
Right.
let's just kind of start there.
Okay, awesome. So basically, my interest in real estate started in high school. I always kind of knew I wanted to do something in real estate, but didn't really know what that would be. I always watched the $1 Million Listing and thought that was super cool, be like a real estate agent. So always was intrigued by that. Applied to college, looked for some colleges that had a real estate program. So applied to Arizona State, got accepted. Then I actually moved down to North Carolina from Pennsylvania and college, and I was probably actually going to go to community college and didn't really want to do that, and just started looking online at different real estate stuff, and then came across Steve's video. I believe actually Cody Sperber's wholesaling course, went through that one, and then didn't take any action on that, and then just was always interested in it, and then I watched his YouTube video, which was the step-by-step one that he mentioned earlier, and I was like, okay, this is simple enough. He broke it down pretty easy for me to understand. Went to the courthouse, got a couple leads, went on an appointment, and then I just didn't know what to say. And then that's when I actually met a student of Steve's at the courthouse, and he was like, dude, you really need to get the mentoring. Like, it's helped me so much. So I just sucked it up, paid for the mentoring, and ever since then, it's just been progressing forward. Not to say that there's been a lot of speed bumps, but definitely my learning curve's been cut a lot with working with Steve. So that's kind of the short story of how I was interested and how I got introduced to Steven.
That's awesome, man. So kind of always had that interest a little bit in in real estate. And it was the same thing for me. I'm gonna pop on the camera here. So it was really the same thing for me, Shane. Like, I started watching, like, this was back in 2008, 2009 stuff. Started watching like the Flip This House with like Fan Merrill, or I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
At the time, like my who's my wife now, was my girlfriend at the time and one of my best friends. Like, oh, we can do this, and ordered a book off of TV, and then was upsold into some crazy expensive coaching program, and just so I can definitely resonate with that. It's like, and right now even, guys, I'm sure there's a lot of people that can resonate with this. That there's all these shows on TV, and it's just it seems like everybody's getting into real estate. You see it all over Facebook and Instagram and TV, and it's like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So, I definitely get that, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you have any experience, Shane, before you kind of got, rolling with the real estate stuff? Did you have any sales background or any, real estate experience or anything like that?
No, the closest thing to a sales background was the barista job that I had, where it was just customer service, so just interacting with customers. But that's the closest thing to experience, I guess you can say, with sales or anything like that. So no, not really.
Awesome. So and so that's another thing I see on the slide here that and this is stuff we talked about, that you have moved like to Charlotte. So it's not like you grew up in Charlotte. You're new to the market. So basically, you graduated high school last year, and then you moved to Charlotte. And so what was that like, Shane? Kind of like moving to a new area, trying to figure out like what the heck you're wanting to do, not knowing much about the market. Like, what did was there some confidence issues, or maybe not? Just young and fearless. Who knows? But like, what was that like for you?
I wasn't really like, because everyone's talking about Charlotte as it's like this really hot market. So whenever I'd say something about real estate, they're like, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Charlotte's a super hot market right now." So it was always kind of this encouragement. So I wasn't really too nervous to jump in because everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, it's such a good market right now."
Awesome. Yeah. Sometimes like, what we don't know, or, just kind of that fearlessness definitely helps us. But, so anyways, man, I want to ask you, just for you personally, to kind of share with people, what was your motivation? Like, what was your why that was like, I really want to do this? Like, what was kind of your deeper reason why you wanted to get rolling with this real estate stuff?
I knew you can make a lot of money, and just going a little bit into my background, both my parents were kind of lower middle class. I worked with my dad doing construction work and labor work in the summer, and I knew I did not want to do that. And everyone was saying just like, go to college, go to college. So I thought that was the route, and was setting myself up to do that, get a master's in business, and I really, the end goal was just like financial freedom and to be well off and be able to travel the world and be able to go on vacation without having to worry about money. And kind of the main thing was revolved around money, and just trying to make a better life for myself. And yeah, so I guess financial motivation, and just to prove to myself that it is possible to become rich, and you don't need to be born into it or be handed like a silver spoon or anything like that, is really just like prove to myself that it's possible.
That's awesome, man. I know, same thing for me as far as background. It's like my parents, were never wealthy and didn't come from a wealthy background, anything like that, and just being able to have that time freedom and travel and do different things was always a huge motivational thing and stuff for me. So I definitely hear you there, man. So I just think it's awesome, first off, man, that you're 19, rocking just out of high school last year doing this. So sometimes, I've talked with people and, and this is just kind of proof that, like, we can get in our own way. So a common thing is like, well, Steve, like, nobody's going to take me serious enough because I'm too young. And I've had 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 28-year-olds tell me that, they're not going to take me serious because I'm too young. So was that ever, a fear for you, or did you just kind of say, screw it, I'm just going to do it and not care?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a thought in the back of my head. And then I kind of went out and started taking action and didn't let it hold me back. But it was still definitely there. And then I guess one turning point that I can think of is when I met with a big investor in Charlotte and kind of sat down with him, talked about adding him to my buyers list and potentially doing some like joint venture deals if I can find him a buyer. And we didn't end up working it out, but he took me seriously, and I could tell that he knew that I was serious and didn't really question anything about my age or anything like that. So if anything, it was more so in my head that I was too young or whatever. So he didn't even mention anything towards my age. So I knew it wasn't an issue after that.
Yeah, man, I think that's awesome, and it's a really important thing, guys. Like whether it could be age, it could be if you have a certain accent, or I've heard all sorts of things like, well, Steve, are they going to take me seriously because of this? And sometimes it's a lot of our own insecurities in our mind, and the truth is that, like, it's as big of an issue as you let it be. But if you just kind of have that confidence, even if you're kind of still a little nervous and scared on the inside, and you just almost just say, you know what, I'm just going to kind of wing it and do it anyways, but it has to be sincere still. And then, like for you, Shane, when you did meet with that investor and he did see that you were serious, and I'm sure you weren't perfect because none of us are, but you had that kind of moment where it's like you could tell that the investor basically kind of bought into you a little bit, and that's a huge confidence booster. Once whether it's a phone call with a seller or an attorney or an investor, and you have somebody like that, and then it's like, oh my gosh, like, and just slowly but surely your belief starts to kick in. So I think that's huge, man.
Yeah, that definitely did boost the confidence.
All right, man. So let's check in with everybody here in the chat. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right in the chat there? I'm just pulling up, seeing. Hey, Mike, how you doing there in Raleigh, brother? Good to see you. Eric, what's up, man? How you doing? Awesome, Max. Cool. Unique, taking notes. All right, cool. So we're gonna dive in, talk about the couple of deals that Shane's done. So as the title of the webinar went from doing 0 deals to 22,500. So I want you guys to just play. This sounds a little cheesy, a little corny, but can you imagine like what it would be like? What would 22,500 do kind of for your situation? And even more than that, a confidence booster like Shane's talking about here, maybe meeting with an investor or networking and just kind of having that fear and doing it anyways, and then coming out the other side like with some growth and some confidence and stuff like that. So what would that be like? Isn't that awesome that you can do those things? So I just want you guys to kind of imagine what that would do for your situation, because it's possible for you once you kind of get rolling with this stuff and you put things into place. Jordan, so will there be a replay of the webinar available? Yes, I'm going to put up a replay, but for those of you who stick around live, I do have an announcement for you, so you definitely want to stick around. But yeah, I will for this one have a replay for the people who couldn't make it. You're welcome, Jordan. So Shane, man, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk about some of the for those. Let me ask this question first to everybody in the chat. Are there those of you who have how many on this webinar have done deals? Just type a Y or the amount of deals that you've done. Let's see who's done some deals here. And then for those of you who haven't done any deals yet, I would venture to say that you've taken some sort of action, and of course there's some who are just brand new, but are there those who have felt, I should say, on this webinar like they've tried, like, oh my goodness, like I've tried, I've done some of this stuff, Steve, I've went to the courthouse, I've sent some letters, I've made some phone calls, I've put up some bandit signs. Is that a commonality that some of you have at least tried to do some things? Chanel, what's up, Chanel? That's me. Okay. All right. So what I want to talk about, Shane, is let's talk about just your kind of first couple months into this, whether it was before working with me or after working with me. That part doesn't matter. But I want to talk about just some of those initial trials and difficulties of kind of going from like, okay, this sounds like a good idea. I'm a barista, I'm new to Charlotte. I want to do this real estate thing, but like what were just maybe a couple trials or difficulties or failures that you experienced within your first couple months? Or did you ever have any thoughts of like, dang it, I'm doing this stuff, but nothing's happening. Like, does this really work?
Yeah, so the first couple of months, obviously, me and Steve started back in 2016, and I haven't closed the deal until the end of March, or the beginning of March. So it's been a while, and it definitely took a lot of persistence to do that. So I guess some of the biggest issues that just like looking retrospect of what I would have done differently is I was just super in love with real estate that I'd pick up every single book on real estate. And I'd read Multifamily Millions by David Lindahl, look into apartment investing with zero money, and then look into hard money, doing fix and flips, just kind of all over the board, looking at being a realtor, which I actually did get my license. So just my focus was off, and I had to really audit myself and just ask myself, am I really doing what it's going to take to get myself a deal? And it was no. I would send out 20 mailers a week for like a week, another week, not do it for a couple weeks, and then I'd have a good week of phone calls, and then I wouldn't make any phone calls for the rest of the month. So I was really inconsistent with my marketing, and really just my focus wasn't narrowed to wholesaling. Like, this is what I'm doing, and just sticking to that one form of niche, I guess, or investing.
Wow, man, that is awesome. There's so many things there that, like, as you're talking, like, just my mind is like fluttering with ideas because that is like exactly what I see, and I am and I just first, guys, I want to let you guys know that I did it the wrong way for like a couple of years. Bought every course, was listening to every podcast, was trying a million different marketing strategies. So this is something that I learned the painful, hard way. I remember one time, a few years after starting, just being so broke that like I could barely afford to pay rent. Could barely afford groceries. Like I remember just the dire straits of the back being financially against the wall. And I just remember, trying like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy. I feel like I'm out there mixing it up. Why isn't this happening sooner? And so, and I do have the privilege now of working with so many students and talking, getting emails and messages and all phone calls, one-on-ones every day. So I hear a lot of different, things and learn what people are struggling with. And this is a key thing, right? Being the and I preach this all the time, is being a master of one thing rather than a jack of all trades. And it's it sounds good and it's easy to say, but like you saw that quote at the beginning of this webinar, from one of my mentors who makes $20 million a year, our two chief competitors are interruptions and distractions and just not being focused. And it's my opinion that as we progress, it's 2017, and then obviously time keeps going. I think it's just going to get harder and harder. So and so we have to do things, and we have to learn how to focus, and we have to learn how to be productive. And that's not something that's taught in high school or college or anything else, and it's not really taught in the workplace either. So those are things that are really important, and also what Shane said there is really important that I see, and I made this mistake too, and almost it's very rare when someone doesn't, and it's building that momentum. It takes, because we don't fully believe, we don't want to look like idiots, we don't want to fail, and sometimes we just got a lot going on. It's hard to be consistent in the beginning, but if you can get through that first couple months or first couple weeks of trials where you don't know if you believe, you don't feel like you know what you're doing, you're trying to make sense of things, and the consistency, like Shane was talking about, trying to send letters one week and then maybe the next week just kind of send some letters or not send them, or make phone calls one week and be really, really good, and then the next week not make phone calls, and then just and then a lot of people have some mental demons going on. I'm too young, I'm too old, I never, they're just beating themselves up. I can't do it because of this, and this, and so a lot of times when people see things on quotes and different things on Instagram and Facebook, like, oh, it's all mental, it's like it's kind of easy to like roll our eyes to, but really a lot of it is, but then there's some practical things too. So so Shane, I think that's really encouraging, and I appreciate you just kind of being real with people that, like, hey, this for you personally didn't happen overnight, but it I saw from the very beginning, right when we started working together, that you were definitely dead serious, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So guys on the chat, if I forget, remind me to tell you one thing that I love about Shane, and I think it'll be a lot of value to you. So let's just dive in, Shane. Let's talk about now. So those were a couple of things in the beginning that kind of, and I appreciate you giving the hindsight, like, here's some things I would have did differently. Let's talk about the deal that you just crushed out at the beginning of this month. Let me go to the slides here because I'm still on your first slide. 1 second, peoples. All right, so we're talking now, Shane, about the Stonehaven deal. So let's talk about how did you come across this deal in particular?
This deal I got from going to the courthouse and simply doing my weekly pulling of probate files. So every week I pull out 25, put it into my Google Sheets, and make the phone calls and send out the mail. And this one, I got him on the phone, and he was like ready to go. He wanted me to meet him at the property, and usually I like to pre-qualify people a pretty good amount, just because from past experience I go on appointments and there'd be no equity and it would just be a complete waste of time. But I still went on the appointment. When I met the guy, it was very, me and him kind of connected right away. He was just a real down-to-earth guy. And building rapport is another thing that's very key, and really to be present when you're with a seller. You have to actually care about their situation and listen to what they're talking about, and not just be concerned about how much your wholesale fee is going to be. Otherwise, they're just going to sense that distance, and they're not going to want to do business. And basically, after that, we set up the appointment. I went and took a quick tour of the property. Just said that, hey, I'm going to be taking some pictures. He said, cool, didn't mind at all. He actually had a sibling staying in the home, which is very common with probate. someone will stay in the home. But he said that he wasn't renting it or anything. He was actually just out of a place to stay, and they were letting him stay there. And he said that, hey, like we'll have him out once we sell this thing. And so we, after walking through the property, everything like that, we walked outside and kind of got to talking about price, and just wanted to see where he was at. And he said that he thinks that it's worth like $60,000. And I said, okay. I was like, so he was very very transparent with everything. He wasn't unrealistic at all. And I showed him some comps and showed him that he was pretty accurate. And I actually showed him some comps that were above that price, and told him that these were a little bit nicer, and he understood everything like that. And he said that we really don't want to sell it for less than $60,000 though. And so I was like, okay, I understand. We'd be able to offer you $55,000, and we're offering this because you're not having to pay any of the closing costs, any of the realtor commissions, and we're buying it as is. So if there's a lot of stuff in the home, which there was a good amount of stuff, that you can just leave it there. And he took it and said he's going to talk to his brother and then get back to me. So that's how the deal came about, and that's kind of how the appointment went down.
Awesome, man. That is beautiful. So, guys, I think this is really important. Just kind of seeing how this even came about and the negotiation process. So in the chat, and Shane, it was clear. There was a part there where the audio was breaking up just a little bit. So hopefully we're still good. I could still hear you pretty clear. So might want to turn like your speaker on and off real quick just to make sure your audio is still good.
I'll do that.
And guys, did everybody hear that for the most part pretty clean? Because that was really good. Can I get a Y in the chat? Okay. Yes. Good. Okay. So so guys, a couple of things here. Shane, you mentioned a lot of really good things actually. So this was a probate. Shane got this by just doing the probates just like I'm teaching. So a lot of you have probably seen the video back from 2014 where I kind of broke down how I do, my wholesaling business, how I do this, probate stuff. And a lot of times people are like, well, does it still work? And and it absolutely does, right? A lot of it is the consistency, side of it. But it's, this stuff works in hot markets and cold markets, and it absolutely still works. So the other thing is Shane mentioned that the guy wanted him to come on an appointment right away. So initially, his gut reaction was like, I don't know if I want to do that because, obviously he's working with me at this point, and he knows that like time is a huge asset, and it stinks when you go out to a property and using this example, it's worth $125,000, $130,000, and we go all the way out there. They say, oh, I'm super motivated, and we're ready to offer them $55,000, $60,000, and they say, well, I want $150,000 for my house, or I owe $115,000 on it. Well, obviously that's like a huge waste of time, and there's nothing we can really do in that situation from a wholesaling perspective. So it's really, really good, and something that you want to write down. You want to get in the habit of making a lot of verbal offers. You want to pre-qualify people. You want to ask them questions. You want to really listen to their why. So many people do not have anyone that truly listens to them. Being a truly good listener will not only serve you in real estate and in business, it's going to make you a better spouse, a better person, a better everything. And it's something that's easily said, but you'll know when you have somebody that just really listens to the core of what you're saying. And that's a huge thing, because it's not always about the house. A lot of times it's about other stuff, right? But Shane said something really important there. I want you guys to get that is, he mentioned the person was like, he could sense that motivation and like wanted him to come out and see it now. And, a lot of times, Shane is probably sorting the leads kind of like I'm talking about, where, I at least look it up to see what the tax assessed value, to see what all the sites and stuff say it's worth. So as soon as the guy said he wanted 60, we know we're playing ball, right? Like, even though Shane might not know the exact ARV right up front, he knows at least this thing's probably worth over 100, and the guy's wanting 60. So, like, right there, that's 60 cents on the dollar. We're talking wholesaling numbers. So it's like, at that point, the numbers don't matter. He can just really kind of build rapport with the guy and explain to him some of the benefits, right? And really build that connection. And then he can come to me later and be like, okay, Steve, what the heck do I do? And so Shane did, an excellent job there at building rapport. And then another thing that I think is brilliant is he had done some homework, right? He brought the guy, a print off of some of the comps, and he wasn't scared to show the seller some of the comps, and some of the comps that were higher than what he's asking for, which you might be thinking to yourself, like, why would you do that? If I show him a $65,000 or $75,000 comp, maybe the guy's going to want 65 or 70. Like, why would we do that? Well, when people can see that you're real and that you have their sincere interest in mind, and that you know what you're talking about, and then he's also talking about, hey, like, we're going to put a lot of work into this property. A lot of times, that's a huge thing. And because we're going after rundown houses that's still in a nice area, and you can even see the picture on the screen, obviously this thing needs some work, right? These are going to take a little bit longer to sell on the open market if they just listed it with a realtor. Why? Because buyers are so picky right now. Everybody wants a nice house. Everybody wants a granite countertop, stainless steel appliances, and all the nice stuff. So a house like this, first off, the realtor's not going to be as excited because they know it's going to sit a little bit longer. So the person is, this is like, look at these numbers here, and you'll figure it out in your area. These are wholesaling numbers, right? We're not looking for the nicest house in the neighborhood, but we're also not looking for something in the middle of a war zone. This is just kind of like a standard area in Charlotte, a standard neighborhood where there's a lot of sales. It's a brick house. I forget the beds and baths on this one, but it's, it needs some work. It obviously needs some updating, and there's some intense motivation going on there. So Shane, what did that? Oh, and before I ask you this, and we can get into this more, guys, but another kind of tip and golden nugget that I want to give you is, notice that the seller was asking for 60, but Shane didn't give an offer of 60, right? You see the offer that we got this deal for? So the lesson I want you to know is, just because a seller is asking for something that you could probably pay or that's close, especially if you haven't done a deal, but even if you have done a deal, the initial gut reaction is desperation. Is, oh my gosh, he's finally, somebody will say yes to me, and I'll say yes too. Perfect. But what that does a lot of times, if we say yes to their first number, there's greed that gets involved, and the person's like, well, man, maybe I should have asked for more than 60. I'm going to tell them 65 or else we can't do the deal. So just because they're asking for a certain number, you are free to offer whatever you'd like to offer. And we didn't end up going exactly what they were asking for because we wanted to be a little bit more conservative. So tell me, Shane, what you already walked us through part of the negotiation, but walk us through a little bit more, if you don't mind, of the negotiation. So after you've been to the appointment, you've built some rapport with him. Did you, on this one, make an offer in writing while you were there? Did you get his email and say, hey, I'll follow up with you with an offer? Did you give him an offer, a ballpark of 60 or something like that while you were there? What did the rest of that negotiation process look like?
Sure. So once he said that he's thinking that it was worth around 60, I knew that I wanted to get a contract in his hand. So we stepped outside, and he like put down the bed of his truck, and I told him like what the basically trying to break down the process. Said it's super simple. Basically, we just have this one-page agreement, and just went over a couple of things in the contract of what it says. And basically, all it says is we're paying all cash, we're buying it as is, and we're paying all the closing costs. And he's like, cool, cool. And I told him that we can offer 55,000, and we'll leave it open for 7 days. And he said that his brother was actually the decision maker, but he lived pretty far away. But they were going to be together in a couple of days, and he'll give me a call like once his brother sees the contract. So I ended up just writing up the contract on the bed of his truck, and just when I had his number, he had my phone number, and he just said that he'll get back with me in a couple of days, and that's what he did.
Awesome, brother.
With the negotiation on this one at all.
Okay. So Kyle's asking, where did Shane write the contract? I believe, Shane, you said you wrote it on the bed of the truck, like right there, right?
Yep. We were outside. It was a nice day, and I had my kind of notepad thing, and just laid it out there and wrote it up right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, Kyle said it broke up for a second there. Okay. So yeah, Kyle, he wrote it just on the spot right there. Day of, the guy was asking for 60. And so guys, that might be scary, right? Somebody's like, hey, I really think it's worth around 60. And we say, hey, here's where we would need to be, 55K. But, here's kind of what the process looks like. So guys, something that's important to know is when you're out, on these appointments, first the connection is like the biggest thing with the person. And then, you want to answer the question that they're having in their mind, which is, a lot of times if they're having issues, sometimes it's on the price, sometimes it's on like, who you are. Sometimes they don't understand the process. So this is a skill of really kind of reading people and, social intelligence or, building connection basically. So any books, there's a book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect by John Maxwell that's very good. And then there's a few others too, but just recognizing like, okay, this is an opportunity where I can pounce on this, but also the fact that like Shane just had the guts to offer 55 to be extra conservative, because I mean if you're standing outside like looking at this house here, you can see like, okay, wow, it does need it looks like it needs a lot of work, and we want to make sure that there's enough spread for us. We want to make sure there's enough spread for the end investor, and just really making sure it's a good deal. So so good job on that, Shane. I mean, that's incredible, man. So what did the deal look like from there? When did you hear back from him when he said his brother's the decision maker? He'll let you know in a few days. What did the process look like from there?
Yeah, so he said he called me up 2 days later and told me that they wanted to accept the offer, and that they were going to be at the property on Monday, and I can meet him out there and pick up the contract. So I was like, sweet, awesome, my first deal. Well, technically second agreement, but we'll get into that later. And after that, we met on Monday, shook hands with both the guys there, him and his brother, and just kind of walked them through what the process was going to look like from there. And over the weekend, since it was, I believe I met him in the middle of the week. He called me Friday. We met Monday. I started marketing it to my buyers over the weekend. I locked up a buyer, had a multiple offer situation, and so I had my buyer already, met him on Monday, picked up the contract, and then I had my buyer come through with the owner still there, but I was there as well, and just told him he was my partner, and just wanted to take a look at the property and bid out some contractor work, and had my buyer take a look at it, and just basically getting the thumbs up from the buyer saying they still want it. And from there, we took it to the title company, and then it takes like 5 to 7 days for the title to come back. It was clean, and then from there we set up a closing date about a week after that, and we closed like 14 days after the initial agreement. So very smooth process.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. So yeah, this one I remember. I mean, this obviously is fresh. It just happened this month. From start to finish, it was a super quick deal, like 2 weeks. It was amazing, dude. You had, was this the one that you had a buyer in like a couple of hours, or did it take? I know over the weekend, because I remember we were talking on a Friday night, and really soon we had 2 buyers were interested. Guys, we were going to sell this, I think, for like 65, if I remember. And Shane, you can tell us, we had it, what, for 65, or we were going to market it for 65, and we had somebody offer 70 and then 72.5. I forget exactly, but what did that look like again?
So we were marketing it for 70K, and this one, it took a little bit longer to sell. So I believe I kind of texted it out to a couple real, like, good buyers in my area that I knew would be interested. And then I think on Sunday or Saturday, I got an email from one of the buyers saying, yes, I want it. Send me the contract for $70,000. And this was after I was talking with the buyer that ended up purchasing it, who was beating me up on the price, and I didn't accept. He was asking 65K, and just kind of beat me up on the price. Then I went back to him after the 70K. Offer for full price, and said, hey, we have someone that's ready to get the contract signed at 70,000. Sorry that you're going to miss out, but if you can pay 2,500 more, we're willing to accept your offer. And then basically he was just like, we're willing to do that if we can get a verbal commitment from you right now. So I just accepted the 72.5 thousand at that point.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. So, and that's just an amazing thing. So, like when you had this so we got this for 55. We were pushing it for 70. So just 15K deal. Very standard large spread deal, which is for all you guys on here, that's kind of what I like to teach my students. That's what I like, because the myth is that, like, oh my gosh, in wholesaling you can't oh my goodness, it's if you make 4,000 or 5,000 on a deal, that's you're lucky or something. I had, again, the blessing of learning hands-on from a mentor who focused on probate, who focused on large spread deal. So I knew it was possible from the beginning, after my years of failure, and I finally started doing things the right way. So I knew it was possible, and so and so that's kind of what I teach with my students. And so this is just a prime example of, like, okay, we're marketing this for 70, and then Shane has a buyer that's kind of beating him up on the price for saying, hey, can't you do 65K? Which, again, guys, when you're just getting rolling with this, the natural thought that I've had, that a lot of my students have had, is like, well, Steve, like, can't I just say yes to 65? Like, shoot, I'll take 10K, a 10K deal. But that's where kind of experience comes in, and just having that person in your corner a little bit to just be like, hey, just be patient a bit, because if Shane would have said yes at 65, sure, 10K deal, boom. But he had that patience, and somebody else came in at full price at 70. So then he goes back to the guy that's beating him up on the price, which is a very good buyer, and says, hey, hey man, like, I have somebody else at 70 for full price. Let me know if, sorry that you're going to miss this one. And then the guy immediately came up to 72.5, and there's no hard feelings, nothing like that. But it's just, it just shows the power of again, having, the quote that I mentioned to you guys a lot is, we get paid in direct proportion to the value that we give the marketplace. So rather than calling a bunch of buyers and telling them what you're going to do for them and how you're going to have all these amazing deals and how you're the greatest thing, since sliced bread, it pays first to focus on your marketing. Sure, don't stop networking. Sure, if you meet some buyers, it's okay to network. I'm not saying that, but focus all your time on getting an asset. And what is an asset for what we're talking about? It's a contract like this on a house. Then when you're going to the buyers, you can speak from a power position. You can speak from a place of authority, and you truly do have something of value. And then we're not desperate, right? We're just like, hey, this is really valuable. It's going to go quickly. Here's the pictures. Here's the video. Super hot deal. Let me know what you can do. We require $2,000 earnest money, non-refundable, proof of funds letter. Need to know you're serious. You got to be able to close quickly. And it's just like, there's no desperation. It's cool if you want it. It's cool if you don't. And people like to do business with people like that. People don't want to do business with people who are needy and desperate, and just, it's just so much better to actually have something like this. So I say that to tell you guys to really focus, if you're in your business, and whether you've done a couple deals or no deals, I really want you to focus these next 3-4 months on just all out marketing. People in your market need to know that you and your partners buy houses. People in your market need to know, that you can help them, that you can solve, their problem, right? If they don't know that, how are you going to do deals? I mean, if they don't know that, how are you going to do deals? So you have to ask yourself every day, like, how can I get that marketing message, out to my target market, and how can I do that with confidence and with consistency? So another thing, Shane, is, and so on this one, just like all of our deals, you were able to meet the buyer. So you basically had still the deal sold. And so when Shane said it took a little longer to find a buyer, you still have this puppy sold in like 2 days, right?
Yeah, it was really quick, like 2 days. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry about that. I had my mic on mute. So we have Eric in the chat saying, did you handwrite the contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. So Lisa, on average, how many probates do you need to call to get a really motivated seller? I started calling probates again. So that's just going to depend a little bit, Lisa. There's not a set formula, but if you're doing 25 leads a week, 20 leads a week, somewhere in there, there's a handful of them that the property's already going to be listed. There's a handful that just aren't ready to sell yet. There's a handful that want to sell in a couple months. There's a handful that just don't want to sell, and then there should be a few in there that do want to sell or are open to entertaining an offer. So somewhere in the ballpark of 20, 30, somewhere in there.
Yep, that's usually what I pull a week, 20, 30, and you do that week in, week out, you'll typically average about what Steve said.
So Spencer down in Florida says, how happy were you, Shane, when the guy said yes?
I was ecstatic, yeah, super excited.
That's awesome. So how awesome was it receiving that first earnest money deposit from the buyer? So when the buyer, just basically, so guys, for those of you who don't know, like when we're marketing a deal, I have all my students require that it's a cash buyer, that they can close in 7 days or less, that they show us they have the money in their bank account, like a bank statement or a proof of funds letter, and that they put their money where their mouth is and write us a $2,000 check to hold this deal. So Shane, how cool was it to get that $2,000 earnest money deposit?
Yeah, it's super cool, and they don't ever question you. So don't think like, oh, I'm asking like too much. They're more than happy to lock down that property for $2,000 earnest money deposit. They don't ever question it. And and you want to take yourself seriously. You don't want to be dealing with tire kickers. So asking for the proof of funds is kind of like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, you need to prove that you will buy this home. So definitely have to ask it, and don't be afraid to.
Yeah, that's really well said, Shane. Like, it's so true. You got to take yourself seriously because your time, your effort, your energy, everything you're doing, you have to believe that you are important too. And so by not doing some of those things out of fear, it ends up decreasing the likelihood of actually doing the deal, which is what you're trying to do in the first place. So, those things are really, really important. So we got a lot of questions rolling in on the chat. Definitely going to mark those, and we'll try to get back to a lot of those. So Carmen is, should you focus on finding sellers first or buyers first? My opinion is hands down sellers first. Wait till you just all out, do tons of marketing, for these next 90 days. When you get some really, really hot leads that are saying all the right things, and you're almost ready to get something under contract, then starts to switch gears. Shane, what's your opinion on that, brother?
Yeah, I mean, focus 100% on sellers. Nowadays, there's so many meetup groups and Facebook groups that that I'm a part of in my market, and I know it's common throughout. And if you want to still be involved with your real estate network, so they know your name a little bit, and then realistically, you can get a deal sold in a Facebook group or at a meetup. So definitely focus on getting the deal, getting the asset, and then providing value to the group, because they're already grouped up together and they're ready to go.
Dude, that's awesome. I love it. Providing value, like, and that's a really good point. Like, it does make, it is good. Because I used to flip-flop in the very beginning when I was just getting rolling. I used to flip-flop back and forth because I'd hear some people teach, like, go, and then a lot of it is a whole faith thing and, like, belief. Like, when you say me and my partners can pay cash, like, if you don't have any buyers, that's a big leap of faith. It was a big leap of faith for me to get through, and it took kind of going through the trial and the experience and the failure. But then, like Shane right now, has a multi-million-dollar buyer there in Charlotte, who'll just buy all sorts of stuff, and so just and other. I see Wilbert on here tonight in Memphis, and he has the same, and just so many people. It's amazing the connections you can develop. So once you've done a few deals, you really do see the power of, like, oh my gosh, we can literally buy anything. It's just now we need the deals. So it is important that you, like Shane said, you find, between Facebook and meetup.com and just Googling your local real estate investor club. It would be good to, like, show your face. You don't need to do anything grandiose, but just be a sincere person that's seeking value, that's seeking knowledge, that wants to help people. Maybe once, like he said, where they at least know your name a little bit. And then from there, it's just focusing all on sellers. I love that, Shane. Good stuff there. All right, so this deal, man, as you guys can see here, ended up selling for $72,500. So doing the math, it's a $17,500 deal. So as I say with my students, with myself, I usually average around a 12.5, 10, 15K, somewhere in there is kind of like the average deal. I always say, like, a base hit or kind of like a bunt is a is like a $5,000 deal. Kind of a double is like the 10 or 15K, 17K deal. Once you get up, it really set, 17.5, 20K, we're talking like a triple in baseball terms, and then 25K plus, definitely a home run type of deal. So this obviously was a very, very good deal, very clean from start to finish. And so Shane, two questions for you, and then we'll move on to the next one. And man, I'm having so much fun. Time's flying. I want to be respectful of people's time, so we'll get on to the second and third deal. But what would you say that was either the toughest thing with this, or that you learned the most from, or what was it like on that day of closing, receiving that wire or that check into your bank account? Just kind of describe that feeling.
Yeah, this deal in particular was pretty smooth all around. So this was definitely not me negotiating or having to go back and forth. It was a really smooth deal, which isn't always what happens. But this one thankfully was. And on closing, it was just it was surreal. It was just like proved to me that this is real. Went in, met with the seller, met with my buyer, just shook hands, and they told me that the check was going to be ready in the afternoon. And then just went back in the afternoon, picked up the check, didn't have to sign anything, and came home a lot richer. So it was cool.
That's incredible, man. Congrats. And dude, your hard work from the very beginning is paid off, and super proud of you on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the slide thingamajig here to the next one. So this is the Red Bud referral. So Shane, you were talking about before, looking back, one of the things that if that you could have done differently was really kind of putting the blinders on and just mastering something. So talk a little bit about just kind of how this deal kind of came about, and then when you reached out to me, like, Steve, what the heck did you do with this one, and then kind of what we decided to do.
Sure. So sorry, I'm choking on my water. But so for this deal, same thing. It was a probate deal. Got on the phone with the seller, and he was living in New Jersey, and wasn't living there and hadn't had a tenant in it for about like 5 or 6 months. So I knew that there was some motivation there for him to sell it. He's just paying on a mortgage with no tenant in it, and he doesn't live there. So clearly he wants to do something with the property. And so like back to what I said, I was kind of like reading a bunch of different books, kind of going all over the place. And I was like, okay, this is like, I can do a leased option deal, which I don't want to get too in depth to it, but it's basically just me setting up a lease with him, with the owner as the tenant, and then I'll find another tenant and assign the lease contract to the tenant, like a wholesale, but a little bit different. But I didn't really want to mess with it too much, and I was kind of at the point in the business where I was like, I'm doing wholesaling. That's what I'm going to stick to. So after networking and meeting with some people, I knew this attorney that he did subject to deals. And a little bit more about the deal, there wasn't a lot of equity in it. So when there's not a lot of equity, it's really not a good shot of you being able to wholesale it unless they're willing to sell it for what they owe on it. And then usually the margins aren't that great if that happens, but it depends on the situation. So I talked with the attorney and just kind of let him know, like, hey, I wanted to make $5,000 on this deal. And he was like, I'm actually kind of interested in it. I'll pay you $5,000 if you refer it to me. So I was like, hey, I'm going to just not get my hands dirty, just refer it to him and make a quick $5,000. So that's what I did.
Dude, that's incredible. So how did you come across this attorney who is a real estate investor?
So I emailed him a while ago, just asking if he had any wholesale contracts, and he responded right back to me and gave me some contracts that he uses. And then eventually I asked him if he does like double closings, just kind of starting conversations with him through email. And he'd always get back to me, and he would just mention, hey, if you have anything, like, I'll buy. And so I always saved his phone number, and just networking with a lot of people. He's pretty well known as a subject to guy, so he takes over people's payments. And so I was like, okay, I think he'll be interested in it. And yeah, just sent it to him and he was interested. So networking.
Dude, that's awesome. So the fact that you were like not intimidated to just, reach out to this attorney to first off ask, like, because so many people are scared with like with attorneys, or just because again, a lot of it is we don't want to look foolish. So like what I want to tell you guys, and this is something that, we honestly have to remind ourselves all the time. I still have to remind myself of this, is just, Steve, don't be scared to look stupid, like, because you have to go through that pain period. You have to be willing to put yourself out there on the line if you ever want to make something happen. Otherwise, you're just playing behind the curtain a little bit, and so it's just so important to get that out of your head. Like, who cares if the attorney just completely rejects you? But at least you were just kind of had the guts to say, hey, you got any wholesaling contracts? And the fact that you stayed in touch with them, and not every attorney is going to do this, guys. Like, it was a fortunate thing. It was a blessing that, but it started with the idea of like, oh, I know, I could reach out to this attorney and maybe ask him for a contract or something, or, just the simple thought of that. So I think the underlying thing there, and something that I wrote down earlier that you said, Shane, was, you were constantly reading a lot of books. You were learning about lease options. You were learning about subject twos. You mentioned a couple other books. You bought another course, the one course by Cody Sperber. You were listening to a lot of different people. So guys, this is something that I see in almost every successful student that I've worked with. The big kind of gurus that you see around, like all over Instagram and Facebook, and some of the big guys' names. I do know those guys, and one of the things that I see is just that people that are doing that are seekers. They're hungry for knowledge. They are, we live in the information, like that quote that I quoted at the beginning. Those who will succeed greatly in this information age are those who will bring simplicity to the complex. So you're reducing other people's pain. You're providing value. So so you first have to be going through a lot of information, because you have to be seeking knowledge, seeking wisdom. You have to be hungry. You have to be growing. If you're not, there's a saying out there that if you're not growing, you're dying. So it's like, now we all don't do this perfectly, and there's times that I kick myself in the butt. We're like, okay, Steve, you gotta get reading again or doing this again. Like, we all fall off, so don't beat yourself up. But I noticed that, Shane, that I see that in you. I see that hunger. Just, you're constantly learning. But also that can be a detriment too, right? Like you said, I was listening to everybody. And so I remember a mentor telling me one time, Steve, put your blinders on right now. He's like, get off everybody's email list besides the one or two people you really want to listen to. Stop watching all the podcasts. Stop doing stop doing all that stuff. Get, freaking laser focused, find one or two people, maybe three at the most, that you really trust, and just dive all in. Go really, put your blinders on and get busy taking action. And so that's a big, piece of it too. So Shane, on this deal, what were the guy had, he was renting it out. What were the numbers when he didn't have a lot of equity, when you kind of recognized that? Do you remember the numbers offhand?
I know that I believe he owed, I think the property was worth $300,000, and he owed, I believe, like $190,000, something around that range. Yeah.
Okay. And he wasn't living in it. He had been renting it out. Is that right?
He was renting it out, and he had it vacant for like 6 months when I had him on the phone, like discussing like the property.
Okay, awesome. So guys, there, what a lot of people will do on that deal is they'll say, okay, it's worth 300. He owes 190. Maybe I can really try to just offer 190, but honestly, that's a little too tight. Even in a hot market like Charlotte, you got to think with wholesaling, we're getting these deals for a lot of times around 50 cents on the dollar. So that just tells you right there that we really need this for 150, but the guy owes 190. So unless he's bringing 40 grand to the table, 190 is not really going to work, right?
Right. And he wouldn't want to sell it for that cheap anyway, right? Like, it's worth $300,000. He's like in that situation, there's motivation, but that's a $110,000 difference. So
Right.
it's a lot of money on the table.
So I remember when you reached out, like, Steve, like, what do we do on these lease option or subject to deals? And so for me in the beginning, trying to be that jack of all trade, and a lot of us were like, oh, I'm doing this real estate thing. I'm doing it. I need to learn how to do everything. No, you need to learn how to do a couple of things right and be the best at those couple of things. So I remember telling Shane, like, hey, man, like, I personally don't even special, like, subject to lease options. I don't even know all about them. I tried in the beginning. It was one of my 35 different marketing strategies in the beginning. And I just realized that after a while, it wasn't my specialty. It's not what I really wanted to do. And so I just told Shane that. I said, hey, man, let's find one of the best people in your area subject to lease options, and let's refer them this deal. And I think, Shane, you had the guts to just say, hey, like, be honest with this attorney who again, you had a connection with, and said, hey, I want to make $5,000 on this deal. Boom, here's the deal. And then I remember it took a couple of weeks and checking in, and we kind of talked about how to kind of negotiate it and make sure you get paid and stuff like that. But this just shows guys that, like, Shane didn't have to know how to execute a subject to deal, and he still made $5,000 on this deal. We were able to just refer it out and let somebody else do it. And so there's power in that, even, right? Just recognizing, because we can put our blinders on and say, this is not what I'm doing, but let me go refer you to the best in the business. And because I'm providing them immense value, I deserve to be paid for that too. So I love how you just told him what you wanted to make.
Yeah, that definitely, it saved a lot of anxiety on my part trying to work my way through my first subject to deal. I didn't really know what I was doing, and just to have a professional do it just made it a lot easier, made it look good on me that I have a network of partners that do this type of stuff. And he even recorded the conversation, sent it to me to see, like, kind of what it sounds like working with a seller trying to work out a subject to deal. So he's a really awesome person to have in my network that I can reach out to.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's a blessing. Like, right there, just being able to hear that conversation, because those that's a whole different ball game, and those deals are different. It's just like anything. There's people who master foreclosures, people who master subject to, who master all sorts of different things, and so eventually, and there may be those of you on this call who who really become the foreclosure guy, or the subject to guy, or the postcard gal, or you'll settle into your own niche after a while. But just being able to develop these connections, and that Shane, the guy that you referred this to, the attorney. So how cool is it now, if you get another deal, like, just the rapport that you guys have, the fact that you served him up something well, and he's also doing cool things for you. It's kind of like there's reciprocity there. It's like, he doesn't necessarily owe you anything, and you don't owe him anything, but it's like, he's going to pay attention out of respect to the next email or whatever you send him if you have a deal, because there's a level of trust that you each did some cool stuff for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I have another deal that I sent to him, and he's going there on Friday to look at it. So there's another referral check. If he said it looks optimistic, and he's going to see it on Friday. So another referral opportunity.
That's beautiful. So I just think that's cool. So guys, can you imagine if you really start to put the blinders on and implement? And I hope that you guys have got some golden nuggets out of this call so far. Can I get can you guys let us know in the chat if you are enjoying this webinar tonight, if you're getting some golden nuggets? Just, definitely want to make sure that we are delivering, and that you guys are getting some value tonight, because that's the whole goal here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we're getting a lot of love in the chat, Shane. It's blown up for you, brother. Um, so guys, can you imagine, like, even if you're getting leads that you can't do anything with, like this one, what if you referred one deal like this a month and made an extra 3K or 5K just referring a couple deals out to people who already specialize in them, and then we keep our blinders on and focus on what we can do. Okay, so let's talk about the 35K deal, Shane. So this is a deal that has, been not so smooth on the whole title side of things, but this is basically a $35,000 deal that Shane locked up very quickly. We're still actually working through some title issues. There's some sibling, stuff going on. But as we work through this, it can be a monster of a deal. And as you've heard Shane tonight, he has, a lot of other deals in the pipeline at various stages and stuff like that. So just give us kind of the short, skinny, Shane, of this deal, or anything, wisdom that you want to share with people on the Villa Heights deal.
Sure. So the way I got this lead was I was actually at the courthouse, just pulling the leads like I normally do, and I heard this couple sit down and just kind of talk about a property that they had, and overheard them talking about, oh, I think the attorney's a real estate investor. And so that obviously sparked something in my head, so I was like, okay, like, I got to talk to these people. So I was just kind of waiting for the right moment. And then once they got up to leave, I basically got my business card out, walked up to them, and just said, hey, introduce myself. I buy houses for cash. I overheard you guys talking. And if you guys have a property to sell, then give me a call. We close quickly. We pay all cash. And we'd love to do some business together. Something along those lines. And this was a while ago in like December. And then the next day they gave me a call and said, hey, we would like to sell it. Can you meet us at the property? So we set up the appointment, met them out there. And after running the comps, I knew that this was a very desirable neighborhood. As you can see, the ARV is very high. This neighborhood's just kind of really rehabilitating. They're doing a lot of new construction, so homes looking like this are getting knocked down, and they're building up really nice single-family, 2-story homes, 3-story homes. So I knew that this could be a big deal, and I locked it up for $75K without a lot of back and forth. I tried to get a verbal number for them. They wouldn't really say anything, but I think at $75K it was pretty conservative, so I was okay with that number. And they agreed to it on the spot, so we locked it up at that price. From then, that same day, I started marketing it, simple text message and email to my buyers list, and one of my buyers said, let's lock this up right away for $110,000, and I said, sure, let's do it. That's full price, and we locked it up for $110K.
Awesome. So this guy definitely falls into that category of a home run deal. Obviously, $35,000. Thinking back to earlier in life, there's people that don't make $35,000 in a year, and I know at one point I was there. And the fact that you can do something like that on one deal, I mean, isn't that awesome? That you can really make on one deal what somebody could make in an entire year. There's a lot of power in that. And, so a thing that stood out to me, Shane, is you came across this lead just by, keeping your eyeballs open in the courthouse and having the guts to go up to somebody. I mean, that's just, and it's not like you said anything that's so epic or grandioso. Guys, this business is very simple. It's a lot of people make it harder than it is. But, we're letting people know that we can help them, that we can pay cash, that we can close quickly. They don't have to pay closing costs. They don't have to pay realtor commissions. And, that we can close quickly, and that we'd love to help them. And, we're looking for other houses. And so he's saying that very basic, info He's not singing, he's not dancing, he's not giving them a PowerPoint presentation. It's just very simple conversation. So I want you guys to try to keep this simple. And he probably, I don't know, you can tell him, Shane, I don't know if you were nervous going up to them or at all, if you just said, hey, just kind of winging it, but he did it. So guys, like, as simple as handing out a couple business cards each day, or networking with a few people each day, people just gloss over that stuff like, nah, that stuff doesn't work, or maybe that used to work in the 90s or the early 2000s, but it's 2017, man. It's time for Facebook ads, or whatever else. It has to be fancier than just handing out business cards or talking to people. And I hear these stories all the time. Just simply talking with people. And again, it takes a little bit of guts. It takes making yourself a little bit vulnerable. So you just kind of have to ask yourself, is it going to be more painful for you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit? Is that going to be more painful, or is your current situation going to be more painful? Like, what do you want more? Do you want your why a little bit more, or do you want the convenience of not feeling scared, not feeling nervous, not feeling vulnerable? Do you kind of want that comfort a little bit more than you want what you say you want? And that's kind of a tough question, not too sexy. We don't like to really hear that, but it's kind of true. It's like, are you willing to kind of go through temporary pain, temporary uncomfort, to stretch yourself just a little bit? And 99% of the time, once you stretch yourself, you go through that little bit of pain. I rarely hear people say, Steve, it wasn't worth it. I'm so mad about the person that I've become. I hate that I'm so much more confident. I hate that I'm making so much more money. I hate that I have an amazing network. I hate that, I learned marketing and branding and negotiating. It's like, no, like, once we go through that temporary pain and uncomfortableness, like, the skills and the connections and the confidence we have is just makes us feel good. It makes you feel good about yourself, and obviously then you're able to help other people. So it's just, obviously going down a tangent there, but I just kind of want to hit that home that the little act of just kind of going up to somebody is brilliant, man.
Yeah, completely. You gotta, like, if I didn't do that, that was gonna be gnawing at me the whole rest of the day. Like, you could have just went up to them, introduced themselves, and who knows, like, either, like, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. So you just gotta really, like, what's the worst thing that can happen, and it's usually not that bad.
Absolutely. So guys, let's take just about 2 minutes here. I don't want to say an intermission, because we are going to wrap this up here in the next 15, 20 minutes. But let's take a quick drink of water, bathroom break. Shane, when we get back, we'll wrap this up. Kind of tell some of the pain points of this deal, and then just got a couple final questions for you, and then I got that announcement for you guys. So let's check back in 2 to 3 minutes, okay, everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. So we are just coming back from a little quick bathroom break. Hope you guys got some water and getting some value here tonight. We'll give Shane just a minute here to get back on, and then we'll continue on.
All right, I'm back.
All right, awesome, Shane. So yeah, man. Just briefly, tell us a little bit about the rest of the deal, just in a quick synopsis, and then from there, I just kind of want to get into like anything that you want to share with people, any wisdom, that you have, or anything. Just kind of open it up to you. So just bring us home, man, on this deal, and then we can go from there.
All right, sweet. So this deal, it started off as like this was too easy, and then it turned into this is like one of the craziest deals that Steve's ever seen. So basically, we got our contract signed with there's 3 people that were involved when I met them originally at the property, and they all signed the agreement. And we sold it to our buyer the same day, so I was like, awesome, I'm making $35,000, sweet. And then once the title came back, it just had some issues with there being a lot of heirs. So there wasn't just 3 people, there was actually 9 other people that were involved. And I guess kind of long story short, some people weren't happy that they were selling the home, and there were some people that were in disagreement with the price and thought it was worth more than what we're offering. And so there's some people that are unwilling to move forward and sign off on some stuff that needs to be done in order for the sale to go through. And so we're still working that stuff out. We've been having phone calls still to this day. Had a couple yesterday and one today, and just trying to get everyone on the same page and try to help them understand of why we're coming in at the price that we're coming in at, and just try to help them all understand that this is a fair price. We've ran our comps, and this is what we're offering, and we're sticking at this number. And yeah, we're still working out. We're still working it out. It's been pretty tough.
Yeah, so we had this one basically sold, to the buyer same day, and so this is a 20-year-old. So this didn't even have like a standard probate file, right? Like it was a little crazy in that regard, Shane. Like, didn't you say it was like 20 from like 20 years ago?
Yep, yeah, it was like a 20-year-old probate case. So when they went to look up the probate case, it wasn't on file. It wasn't there. So because it was so old. So that was one of the tricky things as well.
Yeah, like the title company came back to us like, hey, we're trying to pull the title on this property, but we can't find the probate file. And so that was kind of like a question mark. So, sometimes, guys, there's like crazy little title issues. This one was very unique, just because it's such an old, probate situation. It's from like 20 years ago, and they didn't even have a probate file. And there's 9 different heirs and all sorts of different things on this one. But yeah, it was just kind of crazy how it happened. So had this have been just a normal run-of-the-mill deal, we would have had this thing closed, a while ago in like 1 or 2 days, home run deal. Because it's such a hot deal, because we have such a good buyer on this who's patient, there has been just the issues that we're working through with the seller, and it's just kind of a deal that's in the background right now. There's still a couple final hurdles that I believe that we will work through. There's a chance that the deal will fall apart, and I tell Shane, all the time, just like I tell my students, if you're not missing out on deals, if you're not losing deals, if you're not, getting outbid by other investors, you're just not doing enough marketing. Every big wholesaler that I know, every big investor is missing out on a lot of deals. They're still, they're getting outbid. They have deals fall through. And a key thing that, is important is a lot of volume. You want to have a lot of marketing, a lot of offers, a lot of deals. It can't just be one deal here and there, and it will be in the beginning, but you have to just develop kind of that mindset of just a lot, a lot of stuff. And, when this deal does come through, it's going to be obviously a very nice spread. But I wanted to show you guys a real example of like, if you have a big deal, and so Shane got this contract before he got the other two deals, right? So I wanted to really show this. And Shane, I just commend you big time, man, for not fading, because like, think about this, guys. Let's say, pretend it's you. You get a $35,000 deal sold in one day, and it gets mucked up at closing, or for the title stuff, for nothing you did, which is very rare. Like, sure, we'll have deals, occasionally, but I mean, we're talking, 5, 10, 15% of the time. So pretend that happens. You think you're making 35 grand, and then the deal gets held up. Would you keep going? And Shane, I just commend you, man, for continuing, because you still have crushed out $22,500 worth of deals this month. You have a ton of stuff in the pipeline. Your network is growing. Obviously, your skills are growing, and I'm just really proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is definitely one where I had my ups and downs with like the faith of it, and the theme is like, guys, you need to always have the faith that it will will close, and it will come together in the end. The more that I think that it is possible and then it will come through, that day or that week, I'll have a really productive and really good phone call with the seller. And then when I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to fade away, we don't speak for a couple of weeks. So it really, I guess it's like law of attraction, but just like your energy needs to still have that faith that you still can close it. And I still think that we can close this deal. It's been a couple of months, but if I'm persistent enough and I still have the belief that we can close it, I believe that we'll close this deal.
Absolutely.
And I think that played a huge role, and like it's still like we're still on like a teeter-totter, but I think if we're persistent enough, we can close it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Your belief is such a big thing in this, and it's just like, back to the beginning of the call, if you tell yourself that you're too young, too old, too busy, too whatever, too broke, too whatever to do something, then that's probably what's going to happen. So, the belief factor is really, 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 really important. So Shane, man, in closing, is there anything that you want to share with people, man?
Sure. For you guys that haven't done a deal and you're watching this webinar, it's been a little more than an hour and a half, so you're clearly serious about the business, and really, like, you're really interested in wholesaling. And I know that I was actually watching Steve's webinar a little less than a year ago, and the biggest thing that changed for me was hiring Steve, and it's made the world of a difference from my past. Before I started working with Steve, I was doing a couple of online courses, and really all that does is tell you what wholesaling is and send out direct mail. And I didn't have like a couple $1,000s to put on the line at the time to just send out mail to absentee owners and pray to get a deal. And then what happens when I start talking to a seller? I probably freeze up. So for you guys on here that are still watching, I know that you guys are serious about it. So I tell you to, if you don't have a personal mentor, to definitely take a look at what Steve has to offer, because it's made a world of a difference to me for sure. And that on that note, if you are serious about wholesaling, then be serious about wholesaling. Don't try to do any other type of internet marketing or other real estate niche. Wholesaling works, and it only works if you work it. So stay focused if you are picking wholesaling, and definitely take a look at what Steve has as a mentoring, as a personal mentor, because it's helped me a lot.
Well, man, I definitely appreciate that, and guys, I did not tell Shane to say those things, so I want to make
Yeah,
that very clear. But yeah, man,
yeah,
I do appreciate that big time.
yeah. This is all like I'm literally just like off a whim, just like telling you like how I feel, and like it's serious. I'm dead serious. He's me and him talk, have like 30-minute hour boxers like during a week, and it's just like it helps so much having someone right there in my ear to walk me through the deals. So it's made a world of a difference.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I will hop on camera here. So yeah, man, I just want to thank you, Shane, and I wanted to tell you this and just kind of hop on camera, man, look at you here, and just for a moment, man, just tell you one thing that I love about you, and this is something that is, you know, I think it's just part of like who you are and stuff. But man, every time that you know I'm boxering with Shane, and Boxer is like a little app that we use on our phones. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie. I'll leave him like, you know, he'll be like, oh, Steve, what do I do here? Or, you know, here's what the seller said. Like, I have no clue what to do. What, you know, or here's what I did. A lot of times Shane's messages are very short and sweet, like 50 seconds, a minute, and then I'll leave him like all these scenarios and all these things that he can do. But he is just a man of action, and like he just does it, and like he may not do it perfectly, but he doesn't, you know, he doesn't whine, he doesn't complain, he doesn't, you know, question. He just literally goes and does it, and I could give him a suggestion like, you know, today or yesterday or whatever, and you know, I'm kind of wondering like, oh, I wonder if that made sense for him, or you know, if he was able to kind of understand that or do that. And like literally the next day before I can even check in with him, he's like, so Steve, I did that. I did what you said. That was awesome. This is what happened. Here's how I reacted to it. Here's what I did. So now I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And I'm just like, dude, that's freaking awesome. Like that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So like, you know, and he'll tell me just enough, you know, information. Like, there's a book out there, guys. Definitely get this if you haven't read it. It's called Straight Line Leadership. Straight Line Leadership. It's by Dusan something something, and he talks about like doing that next required action. Um, it's called Straight Line Leadership. It's an excellent book. It's not a bunch of feel-good, fluffy fluff, but it's like what it actually takes to get stuff done. And Shane like personifies that. Like, what is that next required thing to just go do something and like make it happen? And man, so I just want to commend you for kind of like having that ready, fire, aim mentality where you're not afraid to make mistakes. You're out there. You're mixing it up. You know, you're doing things and just running with it. And dude, I can't wait to see what you accomplish. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yes, you've bought other courses. Yes, you've kind of, you know, you've read, you're hungry, you're doing stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, you graduated high school last year. You moved to a new city. You're super young. And you've been doing this a few months. And you have multi-million-dollar buyers. You have amazing connections, real estate attorneys now. I'm just really proud of you, man. And I want everybody on this call, or everybody that's even watching this on the replay, to just realize that this is possible for you. You know, it's not like Shane is some special person. Is, you know, he's a good-looking guy. He's hanging out with us tonight, but it's not like, you know, he has this magic ability that you don't have. A lot of it is just kind of stepping through that uncomfortableness and going forward. Um, so, um, yeah, that I mean that's the big thing that I want to tell you, Shane, and just, you know, I appreciate that about you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate that. It's kind of just in me just to want to just do what you tell me to do, because I've been through the courses like you said and just kind of sat on my hands, just didn't really know what to do, and I have someone that I'm accountable for, and that really helps as well. It's just like, okay, you told me to do that, like let me do it, and then I'll talk to him. Like I just don't see the point in like questioning and like going in depth on like possibilities. Like just do it and then work it out from there.
Absolutely. That's the thing, man. That it's a trap that, you know, we all can fall into. You know, I see a lot of people are just like, well, what happens, Steve, if I do this, or what happens if they say this or they do that? And it's like you can spend a million minutes and hours, doing all these hypotheticals, and 90% of it is probably not going to happen. So it's like, go do it, and then let's deal with the 5% that does happen, and then talk, because then we're talking about facts. We're not talking about hypotheticals. That's a huge point. And what you said about courses, there's a lot of like really good courses and videos and ebooks, and nowadays podcasts and even seminars, like you said, like seminars, courses, all that, really, really popular. A lot of things out there teach like, hey, go send a bunch of direct mail. And it is true that like every big wholesaler does do a lot of direct mail, but you really got to be sending, especially if you're doing postcards and big time direct mail, you got to be sending like 2,500, 5,000 a month to do any type of damage, to get any results. So the average person that's just getting pumped up off of a course or a seminar, yes, you're going to learn a little bit about wholesaling, but unless you have thousands and thousands of dollars a month to spend and to test on direct mail, and there has to be another way, right? Because the rule of marketing, and this is true with direct mail, even with the big wholesalers, that 80% of your campaigns are going to fail. Facebook ads, a lot of the Facebook ads you see and some of the big gurus and stuff, 80% of Facebook ads fail. They don't convert. They don't convert people who watch it to actually buy the guru's course or whatever. 80% of that stuff fails, even if you're doing the right things. So it's like, especially when you get into paid marketing and stuff, it's that's why I'm such a believer in doing lower cost, marketing, to really learn those skills. And then Shane, you and I have had an awesome powwow session these last couple of weeks. That conversation we had right after you closed these couple of deals was a lot of fun, where we kind of mapped out how to get you to that next phase. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
awesome, guys. So let's make sure we got everybody alive here in the chat. Let's get rocking in the chat. I see people are still with us. A good percentage of the people who started this webinar are here 2 hours later. So without further ado, I do want to give you guys the announcement. I did mention this briefly last week. So my one-on-one mentoring, for a while now, the cost of it is basically $2,500 to work with me one-on-one, and then we split your first 3 deals, and you get me, like I have been here for Shane, in your back pocket. And then, of course, a very large percentage of my students continue doing deals, with me after that, a lot of times throughout their first year or however long, to continue that momentum. So I've had it at that price for a while. And so what I'm going to do, guys, from now through basically through the end of tax season, is really kind of open up the doors to my mentoring. I've had a good handful of students graduate. I do have some time right now to take on some new students. And I do want to just give you guys the fair shout out that after tax season, the price is doubling to $5,000 to work with me one-on-one. And that is simply due to demand and just the amount of time, energy, and effort I do put into working with each and every student and whatnot. So, guys, you do have the opportunity if you want to work with me. I would like to incentivize you guys. So if you go to Stephen Howell Mentoring, StephenHowellMentoring.com/tax season special, that is where you can sign up for my one-on-one mentoring. And the 2 options are $2,500 up front, or basically $1,500 and 3 payments of $497. So essentially, it's like $3,000 split up a little bit. So if you get started basically between now and Saturday, I will waive that third payment of $497. So essentially, it's either $2,500 and you're just paid in full, or $1,497 and then just 2 payments of $497. So it's still $2,500, and you don't have to worry about making that 3rd payment. So if this stuff has resonated with you guys, definitely invite you to go over there to StephenHowellMentoring.com/tax season special. Sign up for the mentoring. I'll connect with you and get you guys rolling. I don't want you to miss out on the cost. And Shane can attest to this, because actually it was funny enough. he told me not too long ago, like, Steve, I can't believe you're only charging $2,500. There's a, just to be honest with you, I do know a lot of the bigger names in this industry, and there's a lot of group coaching that people do for like $5,000. There's big seminars. It breaks my heart, but I've talked to seriously, I would say probably 50 people who have paid 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36 grand, off of one of these real estate education programs or seminars or kind of courses, and they still don't have that person that, like Shane is talking about, like that person in your corner that you can talk to about every lead, about the 1,000 different little problems and questions that your mind is going to have that's going to cause you to second guess what you're doing, and to not have the confidence that like Shane has, where he can be like, Steve, what the heck do I do on this deal? It'll keep you stuck. So, courses are amazing. Seminars, I'm not as big of a fan. Like, sure, they pump you up a little bit, but you still don't know what the heck to do when you leave. I'd rather you go to a networking event like a local meetup club, like Shane's talking about, like meetup.com, or like a local investor club. I think you get more out of it. There's some really, really good people out there. But even in some of these bigger coaching programs, I refuse to kind of sell out to a coaching floor. And there's still some very trustworthy ones out there, but there are also some where, even you're spending 10, 15, 25 grand, and you dial into a 1-800 number and you're dealing with a transaction specialist who's reading a manual. And, to speak with an actual guru or whatever you want to call them, the big names, you're going to spend 25 grand is an average. So I remember Shane telling me not too long ago, like, dude, I really can't believe you're offering what you're offering at 2,500. So yeah, Shane, I appreciate that, man. And so everybody here on the call, I do just want to mention that it is going up to 5 grand here at the end of tax season. So definitely this is a time to invest in yourself. And I'd love to work with you. Only the people that are serious and whatnot. So Shane, any final thoughts, and then we'll do just a quick minute of Q&A here, and then we'll get this wrapped up.
I'm good. Let's go into Q&A.
All right, let's Q&A it up. Let's do it. So Joe says Shane's killing it. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for the call the other day. Yeah, Joe, awesome speaking with you, man. I recognize your name now. Yeah, it was good talking to you the other day too, man. Shane, are you still going to college? Daryl White.
No. not right now, no.
Cool. Daryl, so when do I consider the end of tax season? So it's really going to be sometime in April. So I would say this: if this resonated with you tonight, don't wait. Just go over to StephenHowellMentoring.com. StephenHowellMentoring.com/tax season special. Let me go ahead and put it in the chat here so you guys have it. Because when you wait for things, it just doesn't happen. And when you're serious about something, I would definitely just get on it and do it, because otherwise it's just not gonna happen. Tax season special. Let me type this in here. What other questions do you guys have? All right, so the link is in the chat for the mentoring, guys. Would you have to do a 1099 to pay taxes on your profits? So any income that you guys make throughout the year, that's extra income. So you obviously want to report that, and obviously you pay taxes on that. So yeah. Eric says, Steve, do you ask for a percentage of profits once your students make the first deal? Yes, Eric. So so it is the 2,500, and then also we split the first 3 deals, or as long as we want to work together. So that's kind of how we do that. We split it 50-50. So there's vested interest. If I'm telling Shane to offer a certain amount on a property, it's because that's where I think we can get the deal at, and so we obviously have a vested interest there. So any other questions for me or Shane, you guys? All right. I just deleted the chat here. Let me pull it back up for a second. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Sorry about this, Shane. You can't see the chat, can you? Okay.
I can't, yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. The chat went blank on me for a second there. So Eric says, Shane, your story is awesome. Good information. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Joe says, what part of PA are you from, Shane?
Bucks County, Doylestown specifically, but it's like 45 minutes from Philadelphia.
Awesome. So what other questions do you guys have? Keep popping them in the chat if there's any other Q&A style questions you wanna ask. James says, did you have any issues with the seller asking questions to the investor buyer when you brought them through the property?
No, it was pretty smooth. I told him that he was just trying to take a look around and get an idea of the repairs, and said that he was my partner, and me and my buyer have that relationship. He wants to do future business as well, and if he tries to go behind my back, I'm not going to sell him another deal. So he understands that. So there wasn't any questions like that's weird. It was completely normal.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's great to have that relationship. It's great to have that relationship, with your buyer, but you have to kind of lay the parameters. You know what I mean? And that's a scary issue that I used to worry, like, oh, what's the seller gonna say, or what, all these different things out of fear, and very rarely does that type of stuff, happen.
Yeah, and I did remind him. Even though we had a relationship, I did remind him, hey, the seller will be here. I know that you already know this, but don't mention anything about price or anything. Just say that you're my partner and you're looking to bid out some work.
Awesome. So Shane, Joe says he said great when he was asking about where you were in where you used to be in PA. He said he's in Montgomery County.
Okay, yeah, that's super close. That's awesome.
Cool.
Used to go to the
mall. Nice. So Mike Villarini, how you doing, man? So he says, Shane, Shane, this might be putting you on the spot here. So he says, Shane, what is your 30-second, cold call pitch kind of sound like?
Sure.
So I'll give you a little time to think about that, obviously.
It's pretty straightforward. This is what I sound like. I'll say, Joe. Hey, Mrs. Brown. Yeah, hello, who is this? Hi, this is Shane Harrison. I was just giving you a quick call about your property over on 123 Main Street. The reason why I'm calling is I was actually interested in making an offer on the property, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be available for sale. And then I'll just be quiet, and then they'll either tell me yes or no. And if they tell me yes, I'll say, okay, great. Can you tell me a little bit about the property? What's the bedroom and bathrooms look like? And then just kind of just get an idea for the condition of the property. And then after we go through all that, I'll kind of explain the benefits and just let them know like who I am a little bit more, and let them know who they're doing business with. And I just tell them I'm a local investor in Charlotte. We pay cash for properties. We'll buy it as is, and we'll pay for all the closing costs. And there's also no realtor commissions, so it's a very straightforward process. And I'll get their email, phone number, and then just say, if it's all right with you, I'll go over some of the numbers with my partners. And if we think it's a good fit, we'll call you back and we'll send you a verbal offer. And if we're in the same ballpark, then we can go ahead and set up an appointment next week. So something like that usually is how it goes.
That's awesome, man. So it's really just laying things out, very simply for people and kind of getting right to the point. It's nothing grand, like I said, nothing grandioso, and so guys, just it's kind of like practicing that pitch, over and over, and then just having somebody to bounce it off of, and it's really what it is, and then identifying, just like Shane, when you identified, the one lead that you really couldn't help with, but you kind of you did have the forethought, or whatever the terminology is, you did have the thought to be like, what, you must still be interested in selling that subject to one. There's a need there. So you had that kind of inclination, and then the same type of thing, like you had that, thought when the guy was asking for 60 and he was wanting to sell, like, man, I want to get a contract in his hand today. You kind of just had that, reaction, and that's really good. So there is, that piece of it too. But guys, the phone stuff can be intimidating, but it's not as scary as you would like to think that it is.
And remember, the main thing about wholesaling is you're looking to help people out. If they don't want your help, okay, next call. You just have to have a short memory and realize that the people that do want to sell, you're providing a great service to them, and realize that it's only going to be 5-10% of the people that you call. But when you do stumble upon that 5-10%, you are providing a great service to them.
Absolutely. That's a shift that I made, in the beginning, is from that place of desperation. Like, if you're constantly thinking like, oh my God, I got to do a deal by next week. Oh my gosh, like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Like, I need a deal. I need a deal. I need a deal. That's going to come through on your calls. You're subconsciously, like, I don't care how much you try to block it out. If you're constantly thinking that, and you're constantly like, you're just so like trying to get the deal, the seller's going to sense that you're not listening, that you're needy, that you're desperate, and it's just not, it's a shift that you have to make, that it's like, hey, I'm going to be present, I'm going to listen, I'm going to take notes. A lot of times it's not about the house. I'm more interested in, where their son plays baseball, or who the name of their next door neighbor is, or whatever they're saying, than I am about necessarily numbers. And this is, you want to be present on the call. It's just kind of a shift that you have to have in knowing that you have a very valuable solution. I have all of my students go through an exercise of kind of mapping out like those beliefs and stuff. But yeah, guys, good stuff. So Andrew says, Steve, I hope you enjoy your vacation and your birthday. Yeah, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that, man. So yeah, my wife and I were heading down to Florida this weekend, and so we're going down to hang out down there on the beach and see some friends on the way down, and some family and stuff like that. So guys, I want to let you know, I'm not a big like flashy checks and cars and all these things, but it is nice, because I remember all the years where I couldn't afford things and I couldn't go on vacation, and I just want to let you know that the hard work, it pays off. And truth is, a lot of people just give up too early, and you just got to keep kind of plugging away and stuff. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that, and the birthday wishes, appreciate that too. So James is asking Shane, he says, Shane, do you have any plans on using a virtual assistant in the future to pull probate data? And what about venturing into other markets for like virtual wholesaling?
Yeah, so great question. For my counties particularly, the probates can only be accessed via the courthouse, so actually going down there and physically pulling them out. So I wouldn't be able to hire a virtual assistant. But there's a couple other investors that do probate, and there is one assistant that goes down there, and I've kind of talked with her, so I am in the works of eventually getting someone to go down to the courthouse for me. And then, yeah, definitely eventually, hopefully towards the end of the year, enter into a new market. something where I can do it virtually and have a virtual assistant to get some of the data that I want, and also set up my website for the different counties and areas that I'm looking to get into for sure.
Yeah. And one thing that I would mention too is, like, it's definitely, James, a trendy thing. It's a trendy thing to be like, to get a VA really quick and to go into other markets. But again, that kind of goes right back to that mentality of, like, being the jack of all trades. It's like we want to get really, yes, the VA thing and hiring, outsourcing, doing those things are important, James. And even Shane, that stuff is important. But going into other markets, all those things, those are things that you can add on later. But it's like, building, like, get to the point where you're doing 5, 10 deals a month. You're just absolutely crushing it. You have a team underneath you if you want to build that big. And then you go into other markets. It's like, a lot of times we all have these ideas of, like, well, I'm just going to go do this and this and this and this. And it gets us away from, kind of what got us there. And I've even seen that with, with students and myself, and, do a couple deals, and it's like, ooh. So yeah, really good question, James. Really good answer, Shane. But again, we keep focused and we become a master, and then, we just keep crushing it out. So
yeah, just to give you an idea, I went down to the courthouse twice this week, so I'm still actively doing that stuff. And just think of it as, like, that's your competition isn't doing that. So it's kind of giving you that edge, that especially with the county where you need to go down to do it, it's kind of that grunt work that other people aren't willing to do. And in the long run, it's worth it to get to do that yourself when you're starting.
absolutely. Again, a lot of people don't want to do the hard work, and that sounds bad. But it's true. It's like you have to be willing to go through that pain period, get your hands dirty, do that work yourself, because you're just going to learn it so much faster. You're going to really know what you're doing. So just, be willing to come in, learn the skill set, really go through, do all the hard work yourself, and you're going to reap much more benefits, in the long run. And you look back in a short amount of time, and it's like, wow, like, look what's happening. So really, really good stuff. Unique says, thank you for providing such great service on this webinar. Thank you so much, Shane, and thank you, Stephen. So appreciate you, Unique, and thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Well, we are running long, so it's 11:18. So Shane, I just want to thank you for coming out tonight, brother. Appreciate your time, and excited for the deals that we have in the pipeline, the stuff you got rocking, your hard work, man. I want you to keep rocking, and appreciate each of you for coming out tonight. So one, kind of final thing here, guys. I'm going to just show you a couple of quick slides on my screen. And Shane, you can hang out if you want, man. Whatever you want to do. I'm sure we'll talk tomorrow, brother, and I appreciate you. I will send out the replay of this tomorrow, and I thank each one of you for for attending this tonight. So guys, if you haven't done so yet, I do see people going over there to StephenHowellMentoring.com. It's in the chat. /tax season special. Definitely go get rolling. I'll just tell you blunt, you do need a mentor. I need a mentor. Shane needed a mentor. Information is not enough. You need to know how to apply the information. So even if it's not me, if you think I'm a goober, a nerd, you don't like me, I turn you off a little bit, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Go find somebody that you resonate with better. But definitely make it a goal to get a mentor. You don't have to go at this alone, and you're going to spend a lot more time and money trying to figure it out yourself. Start networking. You do need a mentor, and so I want to share with you, just for those of you who don't know about the mentoring, but even if you've heard this before and you've yet to make a decision, maybe tonight is the night that you're ready to stretch yourself and to do this. So in the past few years, going back to even 2008, 2009, I went from a shy, timid, office worker stuck in my 9 to 5 in debt, desperation, panic attacks, to, much more confident, bold, assertive, being able to speak, negotiate, build relationships, and now even to the point where I'm helping other people to do these type of things. In the exact same type of stuff that I'm teaching Shane, that I will be teaching you as a one-on-one mentor student, is what allowed me, to finally start doing deals. So this is not going to be for the people who are looking for overnight success, who are just trying to dip their toes in the water, if you're lazy, if you're not willing to work hard, if you want something for nothing. But this is for you if you've gone through other courses like Shane. Excuse me, he bought other courses. If you've gone to seminars and programs but you haven't really succeeded, if you need a proven blueprint, if you believe you were born to do something great, if you have a deep why, if you need help talking to sellers and buyers and overcoming objections and doing some of the things we talked about tonight, if you have a shoestring budget and you're not willing to waste thousands of dollars a month on marketing like a lot of things teach, if you need help and have fears of making offers and calculating values, this is definitely for you. So my one-on-one mentoring, again, $24.97, $2,500. It's going up basically mid to end of April, but I encourage you to not wait that long, because if I do get too many students before then, I will have to shut it down because I only work with so many students. After that, it is, I'm probably going to take a break for just a little bit as I work with those students, and then when I open it again, it'll be 5K. So just want to let you guys know that. So you're basically learning the business by doing the business. So instead of working, with somebody else for 25 grand or, spending big time money on a course, you get to learn one-on-one with me, have me in your back pocket, to really work with you. And of course, you get all of my marketing materials, contracts, letters, envelopes, scripts, lifetime access to my membership site with that I give to all my students that have, that really break this down into chunks and phases step by step. Lifetime access to future content, webinars, and I really just kind of help you break this down to where there's no guesswork. You get to kind of say goodbye to the fear and the confusion and the second guessing and just getting in your own way. You get to basically say goodbye to that forever, because you finally will have someone in your corner, to kind of work with you. But one of the biggest things that I think you're going to get is just confidence, and just you're going to get my consultation on each and every lead. I tell you what it's worth, what it's not, if it's good, bad, if you're wasting your time, when to pass, when to make an offer, really just how to get through this start to finish. And so this is what works for me. This is what works for my students. It's one of my most favorite things to do. And the goal is simply to make you a man, to teach you to become a man or woman, that can fish, to teach you to fish. It's great to have knowledge, but I want you to have a lasting skill set to help you become a self-sufficient real estate investor, and to really have freedom in your life, whatever that means for you. So the goal is transformation, right? It's to help you become a warrior of a man or a woman, to help you accomplish your goals, and to help you grow professionally and personally as well. So it's a one-time payment, $24.97. We split your first deals, 3 deals 50-50, and like I said, it's going up to 5K. So if this resonates with you, I want to give you like a 72-hour challenge. I had a mentor of me one time that basically it was like, Steve, if you really want to do something, like give yourself like 3 days to make it happen. Like if you're trying to come up with something, like, don't think of it as a cost. I want you to think of it as an investment. Like how many times have you wasted money on things that provided you no value, no skills, no real help? Shane has made his money back, I don't know how many times over, right? And just then, the skills that he's developed along the way, obviously you can see tonight. But so when you're thinking about that, think about how much money it costs to open a Starbucks or a Subway, and how much it costs to get your investment back. Like literally, you're gonna get, if you're paying $2,500, like you're gonna probably get 4 or 5 times your investment back on your first deal. And even if we're splitting your first deal, you're probably making double your investment on deal number 1. How many times can you be in profit that quickly in any other business venture with very little overhead? Guys, my marketing budget for my students a lot of times is about $100, $200 a month, maybe 300 at the most. It's very lean, and you don't need a fancy website. You don't need an LLC. You don't need all the many things that you probably think you need. You need to not be afraid. You need a willing heart. You need to take that leap of faith, and really you just need to have that defining moment where you're like, enough is enough. I'm ready to make a decision. I'm ready to make something happen, and take that leap of faith. And that's really what it is. So if this resonates with you, let's get started. Go over to stephenhowellmentoring.com/tax season special. Get started tonight. If you get started tonight, between tonight and Saturday, kind of take me up on that 72-hour challenge. I will waive, if you do the payment plan, I'll waive the final cost to you, and we can get started sooner rather than later. Now is the time, because it's springtime and we're leading into summer, and if you can get your head wrapped around this stuff, and if you can really get your marketing going and lean on me, as far as questions and hurdles and roadblocks, you can have a really powerful summer and make some stuff happen. But so if this is really resonating with you, and I see a lot of people still on right now, don't wait. Don't do the very natural thing of waiting to the last minute. Get started tonight, or I realize it's still a good amount of money. It might be one of the biggest investments you've made into something like this, but I can promise I'll deliver on my end and be here for you. Don't get started if you aren't serious or you are very negative. I like to work with like-minded, positive people just like Shane, who are serious and focused. If you're kind of just dipping your toes in the water, or you are kind of what I call a looky-loo, or you like to ask for refunds, buy courses and then get refunds, please don't buy this. This is not for you. I don't offer a refund on mentoring just because it's my personal time. It's all my resources. It's all of that stuff. So I'm very bold in saying that. I want to actually repel the people that this is not for, and because I just don't care. I want to help the people that I know I can help, and all the people that this is not for, I would like to repel those people. So it's no harm, no foul, but I just want to be very honest with you. So if you go over to, and I promise I'm wrapping this up, if you go over to the link that I showed you, this is what it's going to look like. There's like a 30-minute video that goes even into more details about what I offer. And then if you click the Steve, I'm ready to go, it's going to take you to the checkout page, right? Okay, so here's the 2 options, the paid in full, or again, I'm going to waive the last payment if you get started here in the next 72 hours. So I try to help break it up for you a little bit. But guys, just realize the people that are doing what I'm doing, who are really good, they're charging $25,000, okay? And I'm charging $2,500. So just simply for demand, and I really do want to continue working with people, and there's only so many people I can work with, and I refuse to hire some big coaching floor where people just have manuals and stuff. So I do need to increase my prices. They are going to $5K. But here's where you basically enter your name, your email address, your billing info. I accept any major debit or credit card. This is an encrypted site. It's completely secure, and you can go ahead and add to cart. I will get notified personally. I don't, outsource that stuff. I process all the orders myself, and I will be sending you a detailed welcome email. along with all the attachments, all the marketing materials, an outline of, how to get rolling, some very simple digestible action steps. And then I also will be sending you the login to your student training site, where you'll be following along with me via video and putting one piece of the puzzle in place at a time. You don't need a real estate license. You don't need an LLC. You don't need a website. You don't need a ton of marketing dollars. You do need a little bit. You do need a willing heart and a willing spirit, and that's it. So guys, make it happen. As just a little side tip here, something I use to track my goals is this company called Best Self Journal. This is just a little side tip. I was reading their blog today. This journal has helped me tremendously, this wall calendar. Check this out. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I have this wall calendar. I have their self journal. This is just a little side tip that kind of helps me stay focused that I wanted to give to you guys. But it's 11:30 Eastern. Here's a quote by Nike. I love it, guys. This is a little Google Chrome extension I use that has motivating quotes every day and cool scenery every day, the time, and a little to-do list. But it's a quote by Nike, as you can see on my screen. So for those of you who have been wanting to do this real estate thing, you're watching all the TV shows, you're going through all the courses, I'm gonna throw a Nike quote at you. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. Well, today is tomorrow. Let's do it. So I love you guys. Get started. I look forward to seeing you in the mentoring program. And guys, I'm going on vacation for the next 10 days. Starting this weekend, but don't let that stop you from getting started in the mentoring. I have that all worked out with each of my new mentoring students. I'll explain that to you. It's not going to stop the process, so don't let that delay you. And for the rest of you, I'll be back at it. We'll continue the Wednesday either email newsletters that I've been sending out or calls like this, and we'll switch it up every now and then, sometimes do some spotlight calls like this and sometimes do some Q&As. But I wanted to give you guys the fair shout and let you know that the mentoring is going up to 5K. It's your very last chance to get it at basically half the price, and I would love to work with you. So God bless you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll send out this replay tomorrow. Be safe, and I appreciate you. Take care. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.